Hello again. At last, influential people in Westminster have noticed something which the rest of us have known about for years. This is that there has been so much focus on ensuring that black children and other ethnic minorities are not overlooked or discriminated against, that they haven't bothered to check what is happening with white children in Britain. Robert Halfon, chair of the Education Select Committee, describes this as a major social injustice, and he is of course quite right. The Select Committee recommends dropping the increasingly popular expression white privilege, as this is blinding us to the fact that an awful lot of white children from working class homes have no privilege at all. Using one of the commonest measures for deprivation in Britain, that of children who are entitled to free school meals, the committee found that just 16% of white children in that category go on to university. This is compared to 59% of black African pupils and 59% of those of Bangladeshi origin. In other words, 4 times as many children from African families are getting places at university in Britain as white children. There is clearly something amiss about a system where this is happening. Part of the problem is that for so many measures that have been put into place over the years have been to help black and other visible minorities to get on educationally. As a result, because of this skewed focus and perspective, nobody seems to have noticed that white children are falling behind. Even if they have noticed, it hasn't been thought important. After all, seeing black people getting into Oxford University makes a good photo opportunity. You can take a photograph, you can see at once, oh look, there's a black person, there's another one. We're doing something about social mobility. A bunch of poor white kids getting places there wouldn't make such an eye-catching picture. The emphasis has been remorselessly on promoting the interests of minorities while ignoring white children. We're talking here about 1 million white children from disadvantaged backgrounds, children who are being told every day at school that, in accordance with the tenets of critical race theory, that they enjoy white privilege. However, as the committee pointed out, white privilege, as the idea of societal privilege that benefits white people over other ethnic groups, is singularly unhelpful in this context, because privilege is the very opposite to what these disadvantaged white children experience. It is high time that the British government was reminded of the interests of a group which makes up the great majority of the country, that is to say, the white working class. In normal circumstances, one would hope, of course, that the Labour Party would be the ones who were standing up for the interests of ordinary working class families and their children, but they are, alas, now a bunch of middle class professionals who actually despise the working class, particularly the white working class, and prefer to curry favour with various minorities, rather than concern themselves with the interests of us peasants. They're worried about transsexuals, they're worried about homosexuals, they're desperately concerned about racism, but if you happen, like me, to be a heterosexual white male, particularly of a certain age, I'm afraid the Labour Party doesn't have much use for you. Just look at the Labour Party today and ask if it represents your own interests. Remember Emily Thornberry, who is now in Sir Keir's shadow cabinet? She's the woman who tweeted a mocking photograph of a white van parked outside a working man's home. There were English flags hanging from the house, which she thought worth jeering at. I say Emily Thornberry, but of course she is really Lady Nuji, being married to High Court Judge Sir Christopher Nuji. She has a property portfolio worth £5 million. This is the face of the Labour Party today. I am hopeful that the Select Committee's report, to which I give a link in the description to this video, is the beginning of a sea change in how MPs and the government see white working class people. It's a shame that it should be the Conservative Party and not Labour who are determined to bring this to public attention. Robert Halfon, chair of the Select Committee, is of course a Conservative MP for Harlow, not far from where I live.